Welcome once again. It's Joe Volpe, the publisher of the Corriere Canadese, North America's only Italian language daily, on behalf of Corcan Media Group and Go Live TV, talking again about this week's theme about refugees and immigrants. But here's the title for today. None of these people have ever been identified. We don't know who they are. So today's theme is about refugees or immigrants. They do have names, and we're going to talk about one of them. You know, sometimes nuggets of truth shine through the veil of talking points. And last week's press conference, starring the $11 million exchange between Mayor John Tory and former police chief Minister Bill Blair, was one such occasion. Minister Blair seemed to suggest that there are employers willing to hire refugees. There are town councils prepared to accommodate them. Two factors, in fact, that according to him and others who share his view, that should convince us to keep the asylum seekers here. There's no need to remove them. Besides, the federal government is prepared, he said, to assist financially. Now, he won't find any dispute from us. But if he's going out of his way not to remove people who are, even if temporarily, wards of the state, why is his colleague Ralph Goodale determined to deport hardworking, law-abiding, self-supporting young families who entered the country legally and whose constituent members are already integrated? Bruno N. is a brilliant computer analyst and programmer. He and his wife Arianna, a graphics designer, came into the country 4 years ago on a valid work permit. They want a better future for their children. This is where they want to be. They have jobs. They also have 2 children, both attending school. The older child, at the time, 8 years old, is a boy. He was crossing the street in his home in Brazil when an assassin emerged out of nowhere to execute a man walking right beside him. Bruno doesn't want to take his family back there. It was not an isolated incident. The province from which he originated, Pernambuco, with a population of 9,278,000, experienced a homicide rate of 58.9% per 1,000. 5,000 per 100,000. 5,479 murders in 1 year. In Ontario, population of 14 million, in 2016, we had 206 homicides for a rate of 1.74 per 100,000. Now, Bruno's son had a traumatic experience. Bruno and his wife, Arianna, have done virtually everything they can to make every application to stay. They've appealed under humanitarian and compassionate grounds, gone through a pre-removal risk assessment, etc., etc. It has cost them virtually all of their savings. But they're not whining. They just want to stay. They appealed to Ralph Goodale's office. Minister Goodale is responsible for removals. In other words, he gets to say you can stay or you can leave. His office told us this is an issue of granting status. Therefore, it falls under the purview of Minister Ahmed Hussein, the Minister for Refugees and Immigration. One can understand why Bruno's hopes rose. Minister Hussein, himself a former refugee from Somalia, entered Canada without papers. But 4 years later, he was landed. Bruno and Arianna hoped he would understand, notwithstanding the system's determination to uphold its integrity, whatever that is, and to remove them upon the expiration of their work visa early last month. Hussein's motherland, Somalia, is a violent country. It is in the grips of political warlords whose destructive policies have turned the country into an unsafe place. The murder rate there is 15.1 per 100,000. Nowhere near the 58.49 in Bruno's home province. Hussein's office says this is a removals issue, and therefore, back to Goodale. Arianna was in no condition to travel, laden with child at midterm and anxious She miscarried shortly after learning the negative news. A local MP intervened to give them a temporary stay until she recovered. But local CBSA officials are relentless. They want them out. The school board hosting the children in their schools doesn't want them to leave. It stands to lose $24,600 in grants for student needs if they are to go back. That's for every year. That board has between 6,000 and 8,000 other students in the same category. Now just think about this for a moment. If Goodale executes the removals on the other students, those other 6,000 to 8,000 and their families, that board will lose between $73 million and $98.4 million in funds per year. It will also have to shut down 12 to 15 schools and declare surplus 240 to 320 teachers. What about the infrastructure for all of that support? You can just imagine, do the numbers. Meanwhile, a Supreme Court decision from December 10th, 2015, 3 years ago, states that in no uncertain terms, any immigration official must take into consideration the best interests of a child when considering recommending acceptance or rejection under humanitarian and compassionate grounds prior to executing a removal. I know what you're thinking. One has to wonder, who's breaking the law? Ministers who don't read the judgment, or the officials who didn't read the memo that should have flowed from the ministers? Who thinks seriously that a child can adapt to what is essentially a war zone where 5,474 people get executed per year? Think about it. We'll be back in Italian in a few moments. Ask you to continue to follow us on social media and in hard copy Corriere Canadese every day. We'll follow in Italian and we invite you to return. Thank you. Joe Volpe on behalf of Corcan Media Group and Go Live TV.